Oh, I am so thrilled for Josh and Anna and that we're getting a grandbaby. And so, yes, it was very exciting for me and for the girls.
Today is Mackenzie's baby shower, and we are really looking forward to having Anna's family come in. So I've actually got to leave for the airport in just a couple minutes here.
Growing up, we were all very close. We all slept in the same room and did everything together. And so now that 3 of the girls are married, we're kind of all spread apart.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Friday, May 6th. I hope you're having a wonderful day. All right, we're at 19 days. 19 days and counting until Josh Duggar will sit before the judge and he finds out his fate. We are going to have a lot to talk about in the next few weeks because deadlines are approaching and they're happening on Wednesday. We're going to have some documents that'll be filed in court that are going to give us a lot more insight into what the prosecution is asking from the judge to give him as a sentence. That's right, we're on the deadline watch of Josh Duggar. And before we get into that, I just have to say something. Thank you guys so much. I hit 230,000 subscribers today. I am so excited. I can't believe it. You know, when I started this channel 3 years ago, I had no clue what was going to happen. I had been working and writing for years, and I had been writing at a website called Pathios, and I was sort of just doing that. And I didn't think about what life would look like if I came to do the digital side, to do video. I just knew I wanted to do something different. And when I took the plunge, I had no clue where this was going. I had no idea that it would be this amazing. And I have all of that. I have to thank all of you for that. I honestly am humbled daily that there's people that will even tune in. Whether a video gets 1,000 views or 200,000 views, to me, I'm just constantly amazed that anyone would want to watch, and it's awesome. So thank you so much for all of you that continuously support the channel by watching, to my members who support the channel by monthly, you know, whatever it is that you're donating to the channel. I appreciate all of you, and I couldn't do this without you. So thank you everyone who has subscribed, and if you have not yet subscribed, do me a favor and take the plunge. I promise you, you will not regret it. And also make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and leave some comments. Actually, you know what? I want to hear from you. Tell me when you first subscribed to the channel and tell me what color my hair was. Was I wearing headphones? And was I still kind of crass and being kind of snarky? Or was I the more polished Katie that I am today? Where did you get to know me, and how has your journey on this channel evolved? Okay, so on Wednesday, coming up on Wednesday, May 11th, there's going to be a deadline. And that is that Josh Duggar's attorneys and the U.S. prosecutors are going to have to file sentencing memorandums. So we already have an idea of what the proposed sentence is based on the pre-sentencing report. We don't know what that number is. We just know that the court knows what that idea of it, what the number is. So we know that a pre-sentencing investigation was completed. They did a report based on that. They made a recommendation based on that. And that came from his probation office. Now it's the job of the prosecutors and the defense to try to convince the judge what they think is an appropriate sentence. And that is going to be in the sentencing memorandums. So I'm not clear if these are going to be filed under seal like the other ones have. Sometimes they're not. It just depends on if there's information that is sensitive. But the sentencing memorandums are written by both sides, and it's actually a very important part for the defense because it shows that Josh has had proper representation and that he received a fair trial and due process throughout the entire process of his from indictment to conviction to sentencing. Even if he is the most horrible person in the world, under the Constitution of the United States, every single person has a right to a proper defense. And that includes a sentencing memorandum and the sentencing process. So a sentencing memorandum is something that in the federal court typically both the criminal defense attorney and the federal prosecutor will submit to the judge, and it's arguing in support of what their proposed sentence would be. So they received a pre-sentencing report, which was done by the U.S. Probation Office, and Josh's attorneys are going to try to argue extenuating circumstances. They're going to provide a backstory about Josh and sort of give you a wholesome picture of who he was to help sort of give the judge a better understanding of who he was, why he might have done these things, and what might have contributed to this behavior. Or they could just continue to say that he's innocent. But they are a lengthy process that both sides are going to present to the judge to argue why the judge should go with what they want. They've already responded to the sentencing report. This is their time to sort of compel the judge to listen to me, give the defense is going to try to do less than what is the guidelines, and the prosecution is going to do whatever they at the guidelines or more. So according to the federal criminal attorneys, it says the documents are often lengthy and they can include legal arguments as to the sentencing guidelines, mitigating evidence, character letters, and expert reports. If there's disputes to the report that's done by probation, they can address that in the memorandums. It's an opportunity for the criminal lawyer to try to correct any incorrect claims that were made by the prosecutor, or, help them see a bigger picture of who the defendant actually is. They have to address what was in the pre-sentencing report when they submit the memorandum. And the pre-sentence report is what was done by the probation office, and that is what describes his background, his history, his prior criminal history, his family situation, and his financial status. And it also would describe offense conduct which resulted in the defendant's conviction, and detailing any particular offensive characteristics which differentiate the defendant from others convicted under the same provisions. They're looking at the whole picture, and this was part of the reason why the kids were probably reviewed by the court, to see if there's any other factors that could be potentially placing Josh in a different category as other people that have been convicted under the same crimes. So both sides are going to argue in this report about what they want. Now, when the prosecutors brought this to Josh in 2021, they sat down with him and discussed the possibility of a plea deal. And they told him, based on the facts of what they had offered, what they had, and what they found on his computer, they said that it was a standard possession or receipt, and that 10 years would have been sort of the standard recommended sentence. When a plea deal is offered, it takes into account that the defendant is admitting guilt, and so they will give certain amounts of time off for that. So a standard is generally that if the plea deal is 10 years, typically the prosecutors are going to ask for a higher sentence than that when they go to the judge, because at that point they've had to go through trial, they've had to go through all of the steps, the juries had to see all of it, the judges had to see all of it. So it's unclear what they're going to ask for, but they said in an email to Josh's attorneys that he hit all of the enhancements. And based on those enhancements, Josh could very well, be at the upper echelon of the sentence, which is 20 years. Will he be sentenced to 20 years? That I don't know. That comes down to the judge. The judge has to take into effect, is he remorseful? Is he, is there something that happened in Josh's life that might have caused him to do these things? Was he an abused child? There's all kinds of aspects that can take a factor. In my opinion, based on Josh's own actions and the way that he's frustrated the judge, I don't see the judge being extremely lenient on him, and I don't believe the judge's history of sentencing around these same kinds of charges is going to bode well for Josh. He's pretty stiff in how he sentences individuals in these types of cases. Judge Brooks is also very familiar with Josh. He's very familiar with the Duggars. He knows all about, the sisters' cases and what happened with the girls. So I think all of that's going to play a role in the sentencing. What I think is most interesting will be if we learn about anything that might have happened to Josh or to his kids, if there's things that they uncovered during the pre-sentencing report that perhaps show that there was other uncharged conduct that happened, or there were things that he was doing that they didn't charge him with, but they found out during the report happened, or if they find out that things happened to Josh as a child that could potentially come out at sentencing. You know, a lot of times at sentencing is when people fall on the sword and they're like, well, this happened because something happened to me. A lot of people on the Stark boards and stuff have all been saying, like, well, what if Josh starts like singing like a canary at the hearing and starts blaming people in his life for what happened? Not taking responsibility isn't going to help the judge, but it does help paint a picture of who Josh is. Will we ever know why Josh became who he is and what he did? Probably not. Are we ever going to find out if something happened to Josh? We may never. Are we ever going to find out if something happened to his kids? I don't know. We might never. And sentencing memorandums as a whole are generally public and not sealed. They can be filed under seal, though. So I don't know if we're going to be able to read these. I hope we do, because I feel like for months we've been talking about and speculating on what the number will be. If we actually get to see the memorandum next week, we'll have an idea of where the prosecutors' heads are at and what they want. And we'll get an idea of what his side is thinking and what they want. Remember, they wanted this extension because they felt like there was something that they wanted to research more in regards to the sentencing guidelines. So was there something that happened in Josh's life that they wanted to look into that they wanted to use at sentencing? This is also at the sentencing hearing, any of his victims can speak. He can have character letters. People can write letters to the judge in the memorandums. They can submit impact statements to the judge. There's a whole vast variety of things that can be included in the memorandums. And then at the hearing, anyone that's been hurt by Josh can actually speak. So any of his victims can speak if they want. So his sisters could speak if they wanted to. I don't know if they will, but they could. So it'll be an interesting few weeks, and we'll see, you know, if the Duggars actually if the Duggars provide anything to the court. I would love to know if the Duggars will go to court and defend him and plead to the judge for leniency. That would be very interesting to me, and we'll find out soon enough if his parents are willing to do that. And their silence right now could be very much because of what's coming up with the sentencing. So that's what I have for now. And sorry, but by Wednesday, we should know if it's under seal or not. And we should have a better understanding of what they're going to ask for from the judge for his sentencing. All right, you guys, tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.